filming this in front of a very famous chain of convenience stores. Stores in which you can buy, geez, anything. But should you? They have great coffee, okay? They have other snacks and things. They're good. And some of the things you can buy in here are not good for you, okay? Many people have addictions to gambling. They get their lottery tickets here. Other people have addictions to tobacco. They get the cigarettes here. Other people have to have their alcohol every day. They get their beers here. I mean, it's got everything. And this is a society that we live in where you have everything. Okay? The internet, life, everything, it's whatever you want. It comes down to you have to know what's important and what's good. Okay? For you, for others. It's about really knowing what's important. And not everything is obvious either. Give you an example. Hurricane Sandy was a horrific hurricane that smacked New York City, the New York City area. I live specifically in the city. We got slammed. We woke up the next morning and power was out almost everywhere. I have a friend who's addicted to coffee. I enjoy coffee, but I can live without it. But it's important to her. And she lives not far from me. And I knew, you know what, power's out. She's not going to be able to make a cup of coffee this morning. Let me help her. So I start driving around. And you know what I noticed? There was a lot of people out. They were looking for a place to also get their coffee. And you know what was wild? There was there was a couple of donut shops open. And one in particular was wide open. And they had a long line out the door. And then the next thing I know, I start seeing people storming out ready to kill. Turns out that donut shop was open, but they had no power. So they couldn't make coffee. All they had was donuts. So they thought, well, maybe people at least want a donut. No, that's when I learned that these places are not about the donuts or any other kind of, it's about the caffeine. People got to have their caffeine fix. They got to have their coffee. And so that's what people really want. And that's what you and me have got to take a look at. What do we really want? Because that shapes our decisions. Okay? And they're called values. What do you treasure? What is important to you? What will you not let go of? What are the signposts, the lights that guide your path? And sometimes we just get caught up in living and we don't take a look. So I'm hoping that you will think about that and really ask yourself, if you're a committed Christian, well, does your life reflect the values that are in the gospel, the way that Jesus lived, the way that he invites us to live? Okay? The hardest way of life you could choose. But it's important because it makes all the difference in the world. I saw a movie ages ago. It was called The Whales of August. About two old women that were sisters that lived together. I think I was watching it because I was wanting to maybe think of my Aunt Josie. And one of the characters in this movie did remind me of my Aunt Josie. She was a kind and loving person. And the other one was the opposite. Okay? They have names for people like that, but we're going to keep this clean. They clashed. She was like miserable and she tormented the kind and loving sister. And she does this through the whole movie. And then there's one scene where it's at night. And the sister who's miserable wakes up and she goes in the kitchen and she sees that her sister is sitting at a table and she's just kind of mellow sitting there. And she's got a vase with two roses in it, a red one and a white one. And she explains to her miserable sister that her husband, when they first met, gave her a red and a white rose. And he said the red one represents love. The white one represents faith. And if we have these two things, we have all we need. Stayed with me. And I think it's wise and it's what it's really about. But you think about that and look at your own life and see how you're applying it. Okay? God bless you. Keep shining.